Recording. Good evening, everybody, or good morning. Hello, wherever you are. Welcome to this year's first Zazen class. So, Happy New Year, first of all, or although it's already the 15th. So, in Japan, we're already in the year of the dragon, but I think in China, you have to wait until the 20th of February. Today we get back to the Fukan Sazengi text of Dogen Zenji, Dogen's Zen manual, but before that let's sit for half an hour and after that I will talk about the text.
老师刚才就是打了个招呼，Happy New Year，然后大家新年快乐。然后我们前面这节课呢，30分钟坐禅，后面今天分享，普劝坐禅仪，就是我们之前讲过，然后今天可能接着之前的内容讲啊，所以前面是坐禅，然后我一会儿会帮大家翻译啊。
Thank you for joining. So today I would like to talk about Dogen's Fukan Zazengi. Let me share the screen with you. Where do we have the share screen? Desktop. So this is the English part. I think the last time I talked about the Fukan Zazengi, I was talking about this section once more, where Dogen Zenji talks about dragon returning to the water or the tiger taking up to the mountains, which you also can find on the calligraphy that's hanging behind me. And I was talking about this point of dullness and distraction, and I think last time I focused on, for example, what you can do with the eyes. Either you focus on one point that helps you to get out of dullness, but then also sometimes if you're very tense, nervous, you might open the field of vision. And I was talking also about where you hold the thumbs. You can place them close to your body, or you hold them more relaxed. So today I want to proceed from here. So now Dogen Zenji speaks about what we do afterwards. When you arise from sitting is the next sentence. Move slowly and quietly, calmly and deliberately. Does he really explain about swinging in? I think he doesn't. So there's this word which is in Japanese pronounced as sayu yoshin. Sayu means left and right. And yo and shin both mean something like to swing. So usually before we start with Zazen, we swing from left to right. Like usually I do this maybe longer than most Zen monks. Like I know some people who just swing like this and then they're already ready to do Zazen. I usually use, well, at least 30 seconds to swing like this, and that helps to, how do you say, build kind of a base for Zazen. And also I think one point of this 30 seconds to maybe 1 minute before you get into Zazen is to lower your kind of center. We spent a big part of the day here in our skulls. The center is here, or maybe in your breast, but I think it's also one point of this movement is to lower your center and let it go, well, maybe in the down into the hara area. So this movement helps you to get down. Some people call it earthing. So you get grounded. You get grounded. It might also help you to find your center. Of course, we know we're supposed to sit right, but to sit straight. But kind of allowing your body to swing allows your body to find its center by itself. And Dogen Zenji here in this text doesn't mention how often you do that, but some people say 7 or 8 times. 7 or 8 times. But if you count the last very small movements, I would say it's many more times. Like maybe it's 7 or 8 times until you get to this point. But at least in my case, I still continue to swing. and it can take actually even up to a minute or so until I feel ready to then strike the bell. I still swing a little bit. And then when Zazen is over, I strike the bell, I do gassho, and then you do the same thing, but in the opposite way. First you swing a little bit, and then these movements from left to right get bigger. And of course you could stand up just like this if you stand up and you have to go somewhere. But the reason why you do it slowly is probably, well, what Dogen Zenji is then mentioning in this text. Let me share again. You want to take that strength, you could say, of Zazen into, for example, if you do walking meditation after that, or if you start to work, for example, you want to take that into the next activity. When you arise from sitting, move slowly and quietly, calmly and deliberately. Don't do it head over heels. Understand that those who transcended the mundane and sacred and died while either sitting or standing, and well, probably this is my translation, it's also misspelled, so I think there's a spelling error, but also what Dogen Zenji says in the original, to kind of drop off during sitting, and to, well, this character can mean die, but also to completely forget yourself when you're standing or sitting. So he doesn't mean that we literally die, but he means kind of what I sometimes say, dying on the cushion. You completely let yourself go. And those people who completely let go, both standing and sitting, so both in action and while they are meditating, they have all committed themselves entirely to this power. And here, interestingly, Dogen Zenji doesn't say what kind of power. So this would be the Chinese text that we're talking about. But I would also like to have a look at, not this one here, but, sorry. Can you also see this window here that I just opened? There's two different versions of this text. I have problems putting this down. Strange. How can I do that? Oh, that's Safari. I would like to pull this down, but strange. So this is one version. What am I talking about right now here? Here. So here we are. Shonen Gensen Kunshin. Here in this older version of the text, he's not only talking about strength, but he's using the character Joliki. This is pronounced Joliki in Japanese, and that's a word that sometimes you also hear in the West from Zen teachers. Joliki means the power of samadhi, basically. So in older versions of this text, down here I have also the Chinese version that Dogen Zenji is copying from. This would be the Chinese version. Unfortunately, that's not the Chinese text, it's a Japanese reading of the Chinese text. But so the Chinese version of the text that Dogen Zenji is basing his text on would read in English, Moshi jo o iden tohoseba. So when you want to come out of samadhi, jojo toshite miogokashi, move your body slowly, ansho toshite idachi, and deliberately stand up. Shikamo sotsubo naru koto o ezaru. Don't do it head over heels. Shutsujo no go mo. So after coming out of samadhi, repeatedly here in the text, this word samadhi is mentioned. Coming out of samadhi, all of the time, all of the other 24 hours of the day, all of the time, tsunendi hoben or nashi, always use skillful means to joriki o goji suru koto. Yoji o gosuru ga gotoku. Use skillful means so that you can protect the power of samadhi just as you would protect a little child. And that's an interesting metaphor that I've also heard from Zen teachers, that you should try to keep this feeling that maybe some of you, maybe even all of you have also experienced this, that when you sit for this half an hour and you lower your kind of center, you feel a certain strength, maybe in this hara area, you feel more focused. And the point is, you don't want to lose that after Zazen. You don't want to get up in a hurry and switch on the TV again, and 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, you're back in your usual state, but you want to keep it. But what is interesting in this section, that Dogen Zenji deliberately does not mention the word samadhi. So for some reason, he only talks about the strength, and we don't know why. But I have the feeling that sometimes, and maybe I already said that before, I think that Dogen Zenji feels the danger that we get obsessed by this focus on samadhi. Now I'm samadhi, now I'm not in samadhi. Or when I was in Germany last autumn and I did a session, there was a person that kind of had an interview with me, and she had an operation some weeks ago, and she said, before the operation I had this very good connection to my hara, but now, so hara is Japanese for belly, kind of the center. And she said, now, after this operation, I don't have the connection to my hara anymore. And, well, I gave her that quote from Sawaki Roshi that says, real hara means to understand that hara is not important at all. So forget hara. Forget hara, that's real hara. And you can say the same about samadhi. As long as you busy yourself with states of samadhi, how deep was my samadhi today? Maybe not as deep as yesterday. I need to get a deeper samadhi. As long as you are obsessed by samadhi, you are lost. Zazen means to forget about samadhi and do your thing. So when you wash the dishes, don't do it in samadhi, wash the dishes. When you take the garbage down, don't do it in samadhi, just take the garbage down. So I think that's the reason why Dogen Zenji here explicitly doesn't say, don't lose the power of samadhi. He just says that, well, people who let themselves go while sitting and standing, they all do it while they are kind of nurtured by this one force. But yeah, maybe Xuanzang, if you like, you can translate for me.
对，我们今天其实是从一半开始讲的。老师之前上次提到的那个，找一下啊，上次我们讲到如龙得水，似虎归山，就好像是龙，龙它一直在水里面，但是它不知道在水，所以龙得水是它意识到自己在水里面。似虎归山，意思就是说虎它意识到它在山中，它不是归山，它是意识到它归到山，其实它一直是都在的。然后我们今天顺着它往下，那个上次老师讲到了，就是关于坐禅的眼睛、手。就是你的眼睛看哪个地方，你当然是可以看一个点的，但是看一个眼睛盯住一个点容易精神紧张。如果你觉得紧张的话，也可以盯住一个点，但是感受到周围的环境，就是更加轻松。所以老师上次说了眼睛，然后还有说了手，手的位置是靠近肚脐近一点，还是靠近肚脐远一点？是紧张一点还是放松一点？其实，这是上次老师说的，其实是都可以的。然后呢，今天老师从下讲，就顺着他往下说，原文是"若坐立徐徐动身"，就我这个翻译啊，老师那个也是，但是那个梵语的"若从坐起，徐徐动身"，我这本写是"若坐立，徐徐动身，可安详而起，不可足抱也"，就是对，然后老师那写"安详而起，不应足抱"，对，然后就是说我那个，其实，在坐禅开始以前，我不知道刚才大家看到没有啊？我可能没有这个习惯啊。刚才老师就是左右摇摆了，大概得有1分钟左右才开始的。然后他一般的情况下呢，都至少要摇晃30秒，30秒到1分钟，从大幅度，然后慢慢一点一点晃，晃到小幅度。他就是左右摇晃，左右摇晃。为什么要晃呢？他说，其实我们在日常生活当中，可能你的中心在上面，比如说我们思考啊、呼吸啊，然后包括工作呀、生活，可能你用脑比较多，呼吸就是我们的中心在人体的上边。当你在左右摇晃的时候呢，把你的中心放下来，就是把头啊，把我们什么，比如说我们的头脑发热啊，就是头啊，或者是往上面的能量往下放，随着你来回放的时候呢，把中心放到腹部，或者是我们有的老师说，就是你会感觉重量在地上，把你的中心还有身体重心都往下放，感受到重心在下面，然后然后坐直，然后结束的时候呢，就是今天我们讲说，如果就是讲到结束以后，若坐立，徐徐动身，就是你在起来的时候啊，对，然后一般的就是道元禅师，就还是刚才老师说的那个摇摆啊，道元禅师其实他没有讲到要晃多少次，但是有一些禅师说可能是7到8次左右，大概可能30秒到1分钟啊。然后老师的时间可能更长，有一些人是没有的，比如说我可能我就不怎么晃啊，但是老师他是一般的，我不知道啊，这可能个人习惯吧，也可能好多经文里面讲，然后大家一直是这样的。如果愿意，你可以尝试一下，就是准备好再开始啊。一般的情况下，老师是先晃大概30秒到1分钟之后，然后敲那个就是他那个叫什么那个钵，敲完之后，然后合掌再开始。一般是这样的情况。然后，就是今天其实重点说到一个什么，就是当我们坐禅结束了以后呢，你应该慢慢的动，慢慢的起来，就是，呃，不要马上破坏刚才坐禅的意境，或者我们说你坐禅的能量。比如说你刚结束，然后就去看电视了，你刚结束就匆匆忙忙的去工作了，然后你刚结束你就去干别的了。一下就失去了刚才坐禅的时候那些能量。嗯，就是就是我们坐禅，其实结束之后是为了把这种感觉带到，比如说你的走路当中啊，带到工作当中啊，你要把它带进去。然后后面就讲的是，就是常常观超凡越圣，坐脱力王。他虽然写到了力王，这个王字儿是死的意思，对吧？其实道完尘世这个地方，它不是死的意思，它是让你就是随他去，不要抓住，让他放手放下那个意思，就是让你坐下来的感觉随他而去，把这种感觉带到 生活当中。我们就好像老师经常说，看我们要死在那个你的坐禅的那个垫子上，要死在垫子上啊。其实那个死也不是真的让你真的死在垫子上，是让你在垫子上面的纠结都随它而去。比如说像你腿麻呀，然后精神不集中啊，或者犯困啊，不要想到一定要抓住它，想到随它而去，其实你就已经把坐禅当时把坐禅的那些能量带到生活当中是更重要的。然后其实后面他提到了一个就是一任此力，然后刚才老师那翻译写的是定力，对吧？这个禅定的这个定呢，就是我们瑜伽里面讲的三摩地、萨玛地。然后这个道元禅师其实他没有直接明白说，就是他从来好像没有直白的说你要入定，他好像特别特别小心，他每次说到这个的时候都说的是能量或者一种神奇的能量。他道元禅师从来没有讲过你坐禅是为了要入定，或者是你要进入萨玛迪。他每次提到这儿的时候都说的是神奇的能量。其实好像大家都，其实老师之前也说过很多次了啊。道元禅师每次提到三摩地或者说你要入定入禅的时候呢，都特别小心，因为他不想让大家有一个破坏这个入定的感觉，就是当你很想要入定的时候，其实你就破坏了这种感觉。不应该，他就是这里面其实道安禅师他几次啊都提到了我们要保护就是萨玛迪的感觉，你要保护在刚才坐禅当中产生的那些好的就是那些能量，这个能量特别重要哈。我们比如说，可能有些人有感觉，就是你在坐禅结束之后，你的腹部好像特别有感觉，就是你的腹部，还有就是你的专注力可能比之前要好得多。他不想让大家专注于这个专注力，他希望大家保护这个专注力。他其实是不想让我们失去这种感觉。他就是道元禅师啊，他从来没有提到三摩地这个词儿啊，或者是我说要入定，他一直提到的是一种能量，或者是一种神奇的力量，一种神奇的能量。他希望我们专注，不要坐禅，不要专注于这种能量，要是保护这种能量，就是呃，不要为了坐禅，就是为了要找到这种能量，然后你今天没有找到，好像你觉得你今天坐禅就是做的不好一样。道元禅师希望我们不要有这种想法。老师在欧洲他做讲学的时候呢，做过一个访问，就是那个主持人，那个女主人跟他说，我之前他说他做过一个很大的手术，开腹的手术，然后在手术之前呢，感觉自己的腹部很有感觉，就是做禅完之后，感觉自己的能量很强，但是这个手术做完之后呢，他感觉和自己的腹部好像失去了连接，就没感觉了。就像我们说中文说，比如说你元气被破坏了，因为我们练瑜伽哈，好像你找不到自己的那个就是班达在哪儿哈。对，然后那个主持人就说，我好像手术之后呢，就是这种感觉没有了。然后五方禅师其实就是把这一段给那个主持人讲了，就是说，其实这真正的腹部的连接是你根本就不会想到你要连接它，你就连接上了。真正的腹部连接不是，其实腹部并不重要，而是你要忘掉腹部连接才是真正的连接。你要忘掉它，做连接才是你真正连接。你不是要想到我要连接它，其实你是要做，就是其实不要做，不要想做，不要做才是真的连上。就好像三摩地，就是我们说入禅和禅定也是一样的，你要忘了禅定，才是真的入定了。你要不要想？他反复重复很多，你不要想到就是你要做，你不要想要做，你做就好了。然后就好像我们平时，比如说，你不要说啊，我要以坐禅的形式来刷碗，你就好好刷碗就好了。我要专心致志的扔垃圾，你就扔垃圾就好了。你不要想我要专心致志的扔垃圾，其实是没有必要的，你就想就好了。所以，当你不想失去，或者是觉得失去不重要的时候，其实你已经在三摩地里面了。这才是真正的禅，真正的入定的能量，这才是真正的，就是我们说的那个神奇的力量，大概是这个意思啊，有点长。对，Thank you。
Thank you. How about the rest of you? Any questions? Anything you would like to share about this getting out of Zazen, getting up from Zazen, and not losing the force? Joseph, please.
I just wanted to be clear I understood. So Dogen doesn't use the word samadhi when he's talking about this, but he
Exactly,
does use
exactly.
the metaphor of a small child.
No, no,
Is that right? No.
no,
Okay.
no. So what he's using here, maybe I can share the screen once more. This is the text or the English version from it. What he's using here is they have all committed themselves entirely to this power, but he explicitly doesn't mention samadhi. So there's some kind of force. But here in this text, he doesn't mention that you should protect it like you would protect a small child. That metaphor you can find in the oldest version of this text, the Chinese version, before Dogen Zenji touched it. And it's a metaphor that I often heard from teachers in Japan, but it's mostly more the Rinzai teachers that tend to emphasize kind of getting into the hara and nourishing this kind of samadhi force and then taking care of it. While Dogen Zenji seems to not want us to get too obsessed about this, always protecting your samadhi force.
Do you use the metaphor yourself? It seems like a very powerful one. When I heard it, it sort of immediately struck me. But maybe I'm missing the point of over.
No, I actually. I have nothing against that metaphor, but I never really use it. I'm more kind of the guy who says, as I said before, when you do the dishes, don't do it in samadhi. Don't forget your samadhi when you do the dishes. Just do the dishes completely. When you take out the garbage, just take out the garbage. Forget about trying to do it in samadhi. And I have the same kind of, how do you say, point of view when it's about mindfulness. Sometimes when people talk about mindfulness, I have the impression that exactly that's too much. This idea, I need to be mindful when I eat my soup. I need to be mindful when I take a pee in the toilet. Just take a pee in the toilet, that's enough. Forget about mindfulness. And I think the same can be said about samadhi.
But he does talk about some kind of power, even if it's not samadhi.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. He's using this character that can be translated as power or force or whatever. Yeah, strength.
Yeah, very interesting section discussed today. Got a lot to think with. Thanks.
Thank you. Julian is also raising his hand. Julian, please.
I was just thinking it's such an interesting balance of direct instructions, get up and move slowly. You know, you don't get trying to hold an object. Samadhi is a noun, so it's like you grab something. Yeah. But he has the dragon and the tiger just before to give you that poetic hit. And it's lovely seeing how he evolved, you know, this mix of the practical instructions and the you know, the kind of poetic imagery. So I just want to say thanks again for taking us through it, because it's so interesting. So.
Thank you. Chris is also raising his hand.
Joseph's question made me think. I think it's something different about, like, when he mentioned something about nurturing a child. There was a time where Bogdan did a Dharma talk at Antaiji. It's on YouTube. I didn't listen to the whole thing, but he was talking about the parental mind in Tenzo Kyokun. Is that something? So that just reminded me of that part of the text that Joseph brought up. Is that like a totally different concept?
I mean, it's different in that when Dogen talks about parental mind of the Tenzo, he talks about the mind of the Tenzo that's directed towards others. When you cook, you think about others as if they were your baby children. That means, for example, that can happen, for example, in a place like Antaiji, you spend the whole day cooking, and people come from work, they sit down, and it takes them 10 minutes, 15 minutes to eat the meal. They eat silently. Nobody says, oh, that's delicious. Nobody thanks the cook for his work. So after they get up, they wash the dishes, and they go and take their break, they go to work. So if you expect somebody to say, thank you, that was great today, you're gonna get disappointed. And if everybody else has a free day, the cook still has to cook. So in that situation, you need parental mind. If you feed your baby, you don't expect your baby to say, thank you, Dad, thank you, Mom, for giving me the bottle. You're happy when the baby drinks the bottle and the baby goes to sleep. While in this case, he's also talking, or the Chinese text is talking about taking care of a little child. But in that case, it's not about somebody else, it's about taking care of your own samadhi power. So he's using a kind of similar metaphor, but it's kind of directed. The little child, in the case of Zazen, it's the force that you have here. And in the case of the Tenzo, it's the people for whom you cook.
Thank you.
Anything else that you would like to ask or share?
I just wanted to ask Chris, who was that Dharma talk by? So I might be interested to see it. I didn't quite catch the name.
There was, so in Antaiji, they have different residents and different monks, and there was a guy from Kyrgyzstan named Bogdan there that who was there for a few years. And so there's so many videos on the Antaiji YouTube. Actually, there's a lot from Muho as well. But yeah, if it was parental, it was something about parental. It says Bogdan speaks about parental mind, Tenzo Kyokun. I'll send you a message.
Yeah, if you go to the Antaiji YouTube channel, you also have the option, if you go to the channel, you can use the search function and just give in Bogdan, or you just give in Tenzo, and you find all the videos about the Tenzo on that channel. Anything else you would like to ask or share? If not, it's already past 9, so Bogdan speaks about, okay, so you have in the chat function, you have a link to the video. Otherwise, I can see you again in a week if you like. Next Monday, same time. Next Monday, I will talk about Sawaki Roshi's quotes again, and then in 2 weeks, we get back to Dogen Zenji. So thank you for joining. Have a nice week. And thank you, Xuan-san, for hosting us and for translating. Thank you.